FireWire 400, FireWire 800, IDE, Thunderbolt.
Hey. Oh, there it is. Hey, Scott's not here. That's boring. Okay. Scott's not here, so I'm filling in. He's out of town. Alright, so Scott asked me a little bit over a week ago if I could speak, and I said, sure, what do you want me to talk about? And he said, prayer. He said, prayer. But he said more to it. He said, I'm doing a series called Worthy of Praise. So I want you to speak on worshiping through prayer. And so I thought about it, and what the heck is that? Worshiping through prayer. And how am I going to write a whole message in a week when I have other things to do, like homework and binge watching Stranger Things? So, for clarity, I used the all-knowing Google to help explain what worshiping through prayer was. So here's a little bit of background about me. I grew up in a Christian home. My dad was a youth pastor, and so we pray together a lot. What was taught to me, what was really shown me, is that when you pray, you're praying to God, the God who loves you and wants to talk to you. You close your eyes, and this is awkward. Sometimes you hold hands, unless you low-key really don't like the person. And then you especially don't pick on your younger brother while someone else is praying. Eventually, however, if you know my family story, you know that Christian home, as it was, eventually fell. My dad left me, my 9-year-old brother, left me as a 9-year-old, my 7-year-old brother, and my mom for some stuff we should never gotten into. But as I grew up, I was never on fire enthused about church or being a Christian. And I was always more focused about starting a new school, being liked, and living in a new house, seeing my dad again. And those always seemed like the most important things. And I never really prayed on my own, unless I really absolutely had to. And I wasn't perfect. I did a lot of dumb things, and I wasn't pursuing God because I didn't have any desire to. So eventually, after I Googled worshiping through prayer, I read a few articles and asked myself, how much and how often do I pray? Like excluding prayer before meals, how often do I actually pray on my own? And to be honest, I hadn't really prayed as much in a week as I had the night that I realized I had to write this message that I'm giving you right now. And so I read on through the articles and I came to the conclusion that worshiping through prayers is something that happens every time you pray. Or at least it should. Another word for worship is praise. So every time you pray, you should be praising God and glorifying Him. The next question I ask myself is, why should we pray? And the answer is pretty simple. And it's because Jesus Christ, being sent by God and died for all of us, made a relationship with God possible. And He gave us a way to speak with God. Another reason is that life is short, and that's really depressing. And you don't have a limited amount of time to pray to God and ask Him to take you as you are. Even more so, God wants to hear you. Even towards the end of Jesus' life, He was in contact with the Father. For example, Jesus prays, and going a little bit, Matthew 26:39. He says, and going a little bit further, He threw Himself on the ground and prayed, saying, my Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not what I will, but as You will and desire. The truth is that praying is a gift and it matters. But how should we pray? There's a Christian poet named Joseph Solomon who writes that we are humbly and carefully praying. Ecclesiastes 5:2 says, be not rash with your mouth, and not let your heart be hasty to utter word before God. For He is in heaven, and you are earth. Therefore let your words be few. The scripture points out to be careful how you speak and pray. It also points out that you're on earth and God's in heaven. That shows how small we realize and how exalted God really is. So when Scott and I talked Monday, literally a little bit over a week, he gave me an acronym and a model for how we should pray. It's ACTS, ACTS. And that's adoration, confession, thanksgiving, and supplication. Maybe some of you know what that is. It's an example for how you should pray in order. Adoration, by definition, is a deep love and respect. So in the Lord's Prayer, when it's against Heavenly Father, hallowed be Thy name, hallowed be Savior exalted. So, Father, let Your name be holy, let Your name be hallowed inside my heart. So in the adoration part, you express your love and respect for God. Next is confession, which is kind of self-explanatory. You confess, like, hey God, I ate those Cheetos. I shouldn't have. I'm on a diet. Like that. With Thanksgiving, you express your gratitude to God. I thank Him for all He has done. Thank you for the Cheetos. And supplication is the asking part. Bless me with more Cheetos. And growing up, I always prayed to God as if He was one of my best friends. And when I prayed, I gave a very detailed list, a wish list, of the things that I wanted. And as a kid, I fully expected God to make me Spider-Man, with the webs and everything, which was perfect. Because when you pray to God to do something, you have to expect Him to come through. God wants you to pray fully trusting Him to handle your life. That is what giving yourself over to God is all about. As a 9 or 10-year-old, I remember laying in my bed while my younger brother was in his bed, the other side of the room, we shared room. He was whispering to me, and not just whispering, he was whispering at me. He said, Sam, shut up! I'm trying to sleep. Because I've been praying my little wish list so long. The supplication part is where you ask God for help, guidance, strength, and the ability to ace Mr. Layton's math test. I've grown immensely. Now I don't pray for my wish list anymore. I pray for God to convince my mom to unground me. The truth is that you learn to pray through prayer. It's the same as sports. You don't get better unless you practice. So back to when I was little. When I grew up eventually when I grew up, I felt like I had to get right with God before I could even speak to Him. In biblical terms, I didn't feel my righteousness would be enough to get an audience with God. Which is true in a sense. Matt Chandler quotes Psalm 34:17. When the righteous cry for help, the Lord hears and delivers them out of their troubles. But he goes on saying, and I'm summarizing, it's not your righteousness that gives you a standing with God, because I would be screwed. It's Christ's righteousness in you that allows God to hear you. Your righteousness, the good things you do, even the bad things you do, doesn't make God listen to you. If you've accepted Christ and this grace and righteousness is enough. So when you pray, you can pray to God in confidence that you are heard. If you don't like using ACTS acronym, then no worries. I gave a little snippet of it. It was Jesus even gave an example, a template for how you should pray. It's called the Lord's Prayer. It's Matthew 6:9-13. Pray in this manner. Heavenly Father, hallowed be thy name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. And give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom and the power forever. Amen. So I'm actually wrapping up. This is going fast. So yeah, the next thing we'll talk about is how often we should pray. I'm not suggesting you get like on a schedule, because that can get real confusing. But 1 Thessalonians 5:17 says, be unceasing in prayer. So pretty much don't stop. Be unceasing. Acknowledge God in everything and glorify Him. Our lack of prayer shows a spiritual decline in life. Pray, 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 pray more. Pray to be prepared. Praying while you're being tempted is like not practicing all season and then practicing game day. It doesn't work. So, to recap the whole thing, pray with respect to God. And it won't be easy sometimes. Sometimes you'll be angry, you'll be beaten on and everything. Which is okay, because it gets easy. Praying matters. Praying is a way to express praise to God. So, that's all I have.